All right, we have some more updates regarding the potential TikTok ban. The Justice Department argued in a court filing on Friday that TikTok should be required to sell its American operations to resolve national security concerns about its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. We're getting a lot of mixed messages here. The feds argue that it's a threat to the fabric of this nation in its current form, but now the Democratic frontrunner Kamala Harris has joined that app.
Madam Vice President, are you on TikTok?
Well, I've heard that recently I've been on the For You page, so I thought I'd get on here myself.
Knowing her voting record, she would have voted for the ban. A lot of politicians, including those who have voted to ban the app, have joined it to reach young voters. In her case, it must just be young voters in general, considering she said this not too long ago.
What else do we know about this population, 18 through 24? They are stupid. That is why we put them in dormitories. And they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions.
The funny thing is, she would probably still win in that age group. In the government's first detailed response to TikTok's lawsuit challenging a new U.S. law that could ban the social media app, the Justice Department said measures that TikTok previously offered to address the government's security concerns, including walling off U.S. user data domestically, were insufficient. The agency argued that the Chinese government could still collect sensitive data on Americans and manipulate content, and that it has incentive to misuse the app because of larger geopolitical goals. Which is really the meat and potatoes of all of it. That's what the U.S. government wants to do. They want control of the information. It's not even a secret anymore that the federal government works with social media and tells them what to push and what to get rid of. The U.S. government can completely silence a story if it's on an American social media app. If successful in making its case, the government could force the sale or ban of TikTok in the United States under a landmark law that President Biden signed in April. If ByteDance doesn't sell TikTok's American operations to a non-Chinese owner by mid-January, app stores and web hosting services will be required to stop working with TikTok, a 1-2 punch device to cut off their service domestically. Legal experts seem to have mixed answers on this one, but it seems like if it's still caught up in the courts, TikTok should run as normal. This is probably going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court. That could take years. TikTok, which has 170 million US users, sued in May to block the law, arguing that a sale isn't possible and that a ban will hurt small businesses. The company has also said it offered extraordinary commitments to the US government to address its security concerns, including giving an American company oversight of its algorithm and storing all data domestically. TikTok even went to a congressional hearing and Congress completely embarrassed themselves. Well, if you have access to my Wi-Fi, does that mean you have access to my internet?
Said today, as you often say, that you live in Singapore. Of what nation are you a citizen?
Singapore.
Are you a citizen of any other nation?
No, Senator.
Have you ever applied for Chinese citizenship?
Senator, I served my nation in Singapore. No, I did not.
Do you have a Singaporean passport?
Yes, and I served my military for two and a half years in Singapore.
Do you have any other passports from any other nations?
No, Senator.
Your wife is an American citizen. Your children are American citizens.
That's correct.
Have you ever applied for American citizenship?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean. No.
Have you ever been associated or affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party?
No, Senator. Again, okay. I'm Singaporean.
Let me ask you some hopefully simple questions.
Now, he was trying to come off as like, I'm brash, I'm tough, I'm gonna be tough with China. He'd probably use that in his campaign ad. Tom Cotton was strong against the Chinese, and just played that clip. The man from Singapore, China was not gonna fool Senator Cotton. I kind of sound like Mysterion. A top official in the Justice Department's National Security Division, David Newman, said in a statement submitted to the court alongside the main filing that TikTok employees' use of Lark, an internal messaging and collaboration tool, had allowed sensitive data about Americans to be stored on Chinese servers and accessible to ByteDance employees located in China. While TikTok argued in its suit that the law violated the First Amendment rights of U.S. users, the Justice Department contended that those users were free to turn to other social media sites if TikTok was banned or sold. Earlier attempts to force a sale or ban of TikTok in the U.S. failed in courts. In 2020, President Trump ordered ByteDance to sell the app or be banned. Federal courts stopped his plan from taking effect. Last year, Montana passed a law that would have banned TikTok from operating within the state, saying the app presented a security threat to its residents. A federal judge blocked the ban, saying it most likely violated the First Amendment and exceeded the state's authority. TikTok and the government both asked the circuit court to fast-track the case so that Supreme Court review can be sought before the ban would go into effect. The court set a schedule that will allow it to hear oral arguments in September. So that's when I'll have updates on that, and we will do a quick merch plug and move on with the news. TikTok isn't a fan of self-plugs and plugs for your merch, so I have to do it where longer videos are played. It's more than just what you see here. It's t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, all different colors, different types of fabrics. Pretty cool stuff. There was Bloxcast RKOing a red coat. The link is in my bio on my TikTok. So this is something you might hear over the course of the next few months. 13 Keys to the White House. It is a political prediction system developed by Alan Lichtman in 1981. So here are the 13 keys. When 5 of these keys or fewer are false, the incumbent party wins. The incumbent is the political party that's in charge. So in this case, the incumbent would be Kamala Harris. Now, some of these are pretty subjective, like charismatic or uncharismatic challenger. So number 1 is party mandate. After the midterm, the incumbent holds more seats after the midterm, which they don't. Republicans had gained 9 seats in the House. Me and Alan Lichtman put that one false. No primary contest. Yeah, that one is true. She literally had no primary contest at all. Incumbent seeking re-election. She's VP, not the current president, so that's false. No third party. Alan Lichtman puts that as likely true, and that is completely false. There was a time where one third-party candidate was polling at 10%. That is historic. He is objectively wrong on this one. Now, right now, the third-party candidates are polling at around 10%, but they usually get a little bit less than how they poll, so they're probably going to get about 5 to 7%. They considered Ross Perot in '96 a third-party challenger, and he got 8%. Perot was also on the ballot in all 50 states. RFK Jr. is only on the ballot in like 30 states. I would still mark that one false. Did the incumbent party have no foreign or military failure? The withdrawal from Afghanistan would leave this one false. No foreign or military success, that leans false, it should be absolutely false. Now here's something that's like wildly subjective. Charismatic incumbent and uncharismatic challenger. Now the definition of charismatic is exercising a compelling charm which inspires devotion in others. You basically have to be charismatic to be a politician in the United States. Alan Lichtman puts both Kamala Harris and Trump as non-charismatic. Now, there's a case to be made about Kamala Harris. Back in 2019, when she was running in the Democratic primary, she dropped out in 6th place. Blamed finances, but she had $10.5 million on hand. More than Biden, Cory Booker, Andrew Yang, Amy Klobuchar, Tulsi Gabbard, Julian Castro, Michael Bennet, and Marianne Williamson. And they all stayed in the race. And by putting no for Trump is questioning the devotion of his supporters. Last I checked, Trump supporters were pretty devoted to him. So there's 2 that I think Alan Lichtman got completely wrong. The third-party thing and Trump being uncharismatic. So I think there's between 5 and 7 false keys. Lichtman says there's between 3 and 5. Now there's only been a few times in history where this has been wrong. Last time was in 2000, so we'll see how it plays out. And these are subject to change as well. One thing that the 13 keys to the White House doesn't measure or consider at all are the polls. Let's take a look at those. So these 4 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, seem to be the battleground states this election cycle. And if it comes down to this, the Democrats cannot win without Pennsylvania. And right now, the Real Clear Politics average in Pennsylvania has Trump at 48.3% and Harris at 45.3%. Right now, Trump is leading in all of these battleground states, but is only leading in Michigan by 1 point and Wisconsin by less than a point. So I think the electoral map is going to look like this. This has been my prediction for a while, a couple of years now. I'm going to take a look at the polls about 30 days out from the election, and we'll see if there's any changes. But I think I'm going to lock this one in. That is enough politics for now. We have just wrapped up the second day at the 2024 Paris Olympics. The United States leads the total medal count, but we don't top the medal board. We don't have the most amount of gold medals yet. Right now, we have 12 medals, 3 of them gold. Currently, Japan and Australia have 4 gold medals. France has 6, and South Korea has 5. Poor South Korea. When they were introduced, when they were going down the river, they were introduced as North Korea.
République populaire démocratique de Corée.
Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
It seems small, but the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea are 2 entirely different things. The difference between North and South Korea is vast. That's why North Korea is also called the DPRK. This flub was heinous. This was like when Biden called Vladimir Zelensky Vladimir Putin. Olympic organizers have issued a deep apology after South Korea's athletes were mistakenly introduced as North Korea at the opening ceremony in Paris. The weird thing is when North Korea's team sailed past, they used the same exact name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The South Korean Sports Ministry said it planned to lodge a strong complaint with France on a government level over the embarrassing gaffe. The International Olympic Committee issued an apology on its official Korean language X account, saying we would like to offer a deep apology over the mistake that occurred in the introduction of the South Korean delegation during the opening ceremony. North and South Korea are still technically at war since their 1950 to 1953 conflict ended in an armistice and a demilitarized zone, not a peace treaty. Tensions between the Koreas have been flaring in recent months, with the 2 also suspending a key 2018 military agreement. So they're not openly fighting with weapons, but they're still being like passive-aggressive with each other. North Korea has sent 2,000 trash balloons since May, which lands in South Korea and pops, leaving trash everywhere, are a response to activists in South Korea floating leaflets and propaganda messages via loudspeakers aimed at undermining the Kim Jong-un regime. Yeah, this one was really bad. The president of the International Olympic Committee personally called the president of South Korea to apologize. In the first 2 days of the 2024 Olympics, South Korea has won 6 medals, 3 gold, 2 silver, and a bronze. They have sent over 140 athletes, so they are definitely going to win a lot more in the coming days. And for the last part of the show is one of the TikTok favorites.
It's one thing that's normal in the UK but isn't in the US.
All right, here's some more helping non-Americans figure out America.
1. Letting your cat outside. Americans can't possibly imagine that in another country this is very much a normal thing.
Well, it's very much a normal thing here in the United States as well. There are 30 to 40 million community cats in the US, basically mostly outdoor cats. This commenter was saying they think we don't let our cats out because of the amount of predators in North America. And I mean, that's true. We have American crocodiles, polar bears, Kodiak bears, grizzly bears, mountain lions, but by far one of the most vicious predators in North America is the domesticated house cat. They take out about 2.4 billion birds every year in the United States. And that's just birds. They wreak havoc on field mice, squirrels, chipmunks. Some of them will even hunt small snakes.
Apparently Americans don't use kettles. I can't imagine life without one, to be honest.
Okay, I think I have figured out the kettle thing, because they are blown away that we don't use kettles. And we're blown away that they rely on kettles so heavily. And at first most people will think, and I thought too, well, the UK drinks a lot more tea, we drink a lot more coffee. But Brits drink a lot of coffee. Here's the difference. The Brits prefer instant coffee, made with a kettle and instant coffee grinds. According to a 2021 survey, 73% of British households prefer instant coffee, while only 8% of American households prefer instant coffee. We prefer regular coffee that needs an entire machine to make that style of coffee. 80% of homes in the United States have a coffee maker. Now, a properly maintained and cleaned coffee maker will work as a kettle. There were things going around social media for a while that American homes weren't strong enough to power a kettle. It's a fucking kettle. We have air conditioners in every room of our houses.
9. Crossing the road wherever I like, whenever I like without being arrested.
Bruh. To be fair, I live in a very rural state, so I don't know if people still get ticketed for jaywalking in New York City or Chicago, but I doubt it. To be fair to them, I've seen it in American movies, TV shows, and cartoons of people just crossing the street like, hey, that's a $50 ticket for you, pal. Like, maybe a cop would say something if you cross a street not in a crosswalk and you made a car slam on the brakes or something and they beeped at you. But you would never, ever be arrested for it.